Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Evidence, the podcast where we dive deep into true crime cases, uncovering the facts and exploring the unanswered questions that keep us coming back for more. I'm your host, Marv, and I want to thank you for joining me today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can find links to my PayPal and Cash App in the description. Now, let's get into today's topic.
Breaking all the patterns, facts and theories, clues and controversy. Join the journey, uncovering the mystery. This is Beyond the Evidence, where justice prevails, with Marv leading the way. Truth never fails. Now get ready for this live stream. Super chat, highlight your message. Don't fall victim to the irrelevance. Hit that like, share, subscribe to Marv's Beyond the Evidence.
Oh, that's the wrong screen. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the new series that we're going to do every Sunday called True Crime News. Let's see here. We have a bunch of stuff to go over this evening. So tonight we're going to be covering 5 cases that have shaken communities and stirred national outrage. From the heartbreaking disappearance of baby Emmanuel Haro to the horrifying abuse and murder of Renesmay, I think it's pronounced Eutsey. We'll walk through the facts, the failures, and the fight for justice. We're also going to update you on the Richard Allen appeal extension in the Delphi case and the ongoing manhunt for Travis Decker after the unaliving of his 3 daughters. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the deadly pew-pewing of the Annunciation Catholic Church that left 2 children without their lives and several wounded. These stories are heavy, but they matter. And together we'll shine a light on the truth, demand accountability, and honor the lives behind the headlines. So let's get into it. Thank you once again for joining me. Please click that like button. And if you're rewatching the stream, please go ahead and leave a comment down below. All right. We are going to watch a video here. I clicked the wrong button. Oh. All right, 1 minute. I'm having trouble with the audio, so it'll just take me a second to finish this. All right. My computer is a little finicky tonight, so okay, here we go. That is not the video I wanted. I have got way too many tabs open here. Okay, here we go. Let me know if you can hear this. All right, 1 second. Here we go. Now, this is the beginning of this case of Emmanuel Haro, who has went missing. And we all know that the mother said that he was kidnapped.
This is the story that has people across the country asking what happened to Emmanuel Haro. And now police say his parents may be lying.
I got him out of the car seat and I laid him down and so I could get his diapers ready. And somebody said, "Hola," and that's all I remember.
This video per KABC of his mom speaking to television cameras after she claimed she was attacked and her son was abducted. Here's what the baby's dad said, looking straight into the camera.
Whoever took our son, please give him back.
But now law enforcement in Southern California say they can't rule out foul play, and they are having a hard time trusting what these two parents are saying now that the 7-month-old child is still missing, and mom and dad have reportedly lawyered up.
All right, so we're going to pause there for a minute. Did the dad confess? We're going to get into that. So the story that the parents wanted us to believe is that they were at the father's, or yes, Jake is the father, okay? They were at his son's baseball game, and his son needed a mouth guard. So Rebecca took the baby who was in the car. They never brought the baby out of the car. They kept her in the car, kept him in the car because he was not vaccinated and they were worried about him getting sick. That is what they were stating, okay? She goes to the store. She realizes that he needs a diaper change first before she goes into the store. She takes him out of the car seat and lays him on the seat, okay? And proceeds to start changing his diaper when somebody behind her says, "Hola," and then hits her in the face and knocks her unconscious. I'm sure you've all seen the videos that are going around online. I had some issues with this. First of all, in the video from a store not too far away, you never see her take the baby out of the car seat. You never see her go around the car. Hang on one second here. You never see the baby at all. You basically see her on the side of the car, and it looks like she fell down and gets right back up. Okay, so it's just the craziest thing. And apparently she wakes up, and instead of calling the police right away, she runs into the store and asks them if they've seen her baby. So things aren't aligning right away with the story. Okay, it's crazy. And right off the bat, everybody in the true crime community did not believe the story. We know the cops had a big issue with the story too. So let's see here. Let's keep going. So she reports the baby missing to the police finally, and big search ensues.
We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Young Emmanuel per KABC TV. The mom's name is Rebecca Haro. She has that shiner under her right eye. She says she got the black eye in this strip mall parking lot in Yucaipa, California. She said she was there because she was at her other son's football game Thursday night. They needed to get something from the Big Five sporting goods store. But when she was in the parking lot, young Emmanuel, just 7 months old, needed his diaper changed. And while she was doing that, someone came up and attacked her. Here's what she told KTLA.
I was gonna get the diaper and somebody said hola, and I didn't see nothing since. I woke up right here on the floor, and I didn't see Emmanuel.
Now, she claims that someone came up to her in that parking lot. All she remembers them saying is hola, and the next thing she knew, she blacked out. She says she was attacked, and when she woke up, little Emmanuel was gone. Now, at that point, deputies started searching the area. This is happening an hour east of Los Angeles. But this story, which, if it actually happened, is a parent's worst nightmare, appears to be falling apart.
Right. It's falling apart in multiple ways. First of all, nobody saw the baby. And I'm sorry, but the shiner on her eye is an old wound. You can fully see that is an old wound. It's already turning yellow. It's already healing. It's not something that just happened that day. Okay.
Over the weekend, San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies released a statement, and they said that they found inconsistencies in the mom, Rebecca's story. And when they pushed her about that, they say she stopped talking to them. Now, on top of
Now, what mother in their right mind stops talking to police about their baby that's been kidnapped? That makes no sense whatsoever. You're begging the public on national TV to help you find your baby, and then all of a sudden, when the police start asking you questions about your inconsistencies, you stop talking to them altogether? That's kind of crazy, wouldn't you think? I mean, if it was my 7-month-old baby and I'm telling everybody that they were kidnapped, I would be out searching, I would be out looking, I would be going out of my mind. I would be telling the police anything they wanted to know in order to find my child. But not this woman. Oh, and it gets a lot worse from there.
of that, the Uvalde Foundation for Kids, which is a national nonprofit, it advocates for children. They were helping in the search for Emmanuel.
Uvalde Foundation for Kids stepped in and wanted to help this couple. And as soon as they found out that there were inconsistencies and the police had doubts of what happened, they pulled out immediately. That is a huge, huge moment in this case.
When this story first broke, they were offering reward money as well. But in light of this news from law enforcement, they are no longer helping in the search. Lawandcrime.com reached out to the nonprofit, and this is what they told us. Quote, "We are receiving information that Emmanuel was not even reported to have been seen at the football game. The mother alleged they were all at, as an eyewitness report, that the mother's apparent bruise acquired during the attack at the Big Five was in fact acquired previous to the incident. We're awaiting further confirmation from law enforcement. All of these, coupled with our previous notes, have led to our decision." Now, here's specifically what law enforcement said on Sunday. Quote, "Investigators interviewed multiple individuals, including Emmanuel's parents, Jake and Rebecca Haro. During those interviews, Rebecca was confronted with inconsistencies in her initial statement and declined to continue with the interview. At this point in the investigation, investigators are unable to rule out foul play in the disappearance of Emmanuel."
Now they're ruling that out pretty darn quickly. We're talking within a day or two of this incident happening. They are ruling out, they cannot rule out foul play. They can't even tell us when the baby was last seen.
Now, here is the home where Emmanuel lived with his parents per online court records. TV cameras saw detectives investigating at Emmanuel's house overnight, and we're still waiting on an update today if that search found anything related to this case. The Haro's 2-year-old daughter has been removed from the house per KTLA. It also came to light that Emmanuel's dad, Jake, is currently on parole. He was convicted in 2023 of cruelty to children. That was related to a 2018 arrest. Now, even though law enforcement have said that foul play can't be ruled out, it certainly has lit a...
Now, here's where the story gets interesting. This man, Jake Haro, was convicted of injuring his 10-month-old, I believe, daughter at the time of his other marriage. Found guilty. And the judge let him off. Now, the injuries to this child were so severe, she has issues and will have issues for the rest of her life. And this man did not spend any time in jail for it. Right. Misty says definitely not normal. No. You would be doing everything humanly possible to try to find your child. I agree, Cyber Warrior. Yes, and if I'm going to be on screen, I'm going to be doing a press conference. That is another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Their actions, their mannerisms were totally, in my eyes, fake, put on. No tears coming out of their eyes. I mean, I would have been hysterical. No, and he was not seen at all at the Big Five store. And I believe this judge that gave him probation has now retired, and he should have, because this child's unaliving is partly at his fault. Oh, I see we got a troll in here tonight. Somebody just wants to play games. All right, I'm going to fast forward through some of this because we're not going to watch all 47 minutes.
Fire under the public and wanting to know what happened, it appears there are family members of the Haros sticking by their side. Emmanuel's grandmother spoke to local media. She said that the couple are homebodies. They love their son. They wouldn't do anything to hurt him. She also said that Rebecca stopped cooperating when law enforcement wanted her to take a lie detector.
They would never do anything to hurt their child, except he has hurt a child previous to this. And I know that just because you are previously convicted of something, law can't get involved just because you have a child. But the pictures that we have seen from this child obviously show something was happening. because they change from this. And you could see it in the child's face that this isn't right.
Steve's going to join me in just a moment to talk about what he saw. Overnight, an online blogger who goes by Abby and Libby spoke to News Nation, and she talked about a conversation she said she had with the adoptive mom of Emmanuel's now 7-year-old half-sister. Again, this was in an interview on News Nation, that blogger talking about the young girl who is now named Promise, a girl who is now blind, who cannot talk or speak, she says. The adoptive mom of that girl is the cousin of
Exactly.
Los Angeles. Rebecca said that she took Emmanuel with her, and she was going into
All right, we already went through this part.
Emmanuel Haro. Right now, we know that deputies have searched the Haro's house. They say they have surveillance videos from the area of where this incident allegedly happened, but they don't have the exact location of where Rebecca says she was attacked. Jake Haro.
Okay, so with all this being said, they've searched the house. We know that. Okay. Definitely probably found things in the house. Okay. There have been reports of what those things have been, that they took floorboards and whatever. Police have clapped back and said, no, some of these things are false. One of the things that came out is that Jake Haro confessed and took law enforcement to a highway, and they were looking for Emmanuel's body, and that Emmanuel had been found. All of that was false. Okay. So let me get the next video here, because like I said, you guys have all been watching this. Like I said, somehow my screens got out of order. So just bear with me here just for a minute. Okay. So in this story, we know that both parents were arrested. Police are stating that this is due to Emmanuel being unalived. They don't know exactly when this happened. Mark the Shark started a channel and covered this. He lives right there. He's got a little, okay. He's been to the hearings. All right. Sounds good. Let me start this video, because this past week, the reason I'm bringing this up, I haven't talked about this story before, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because this couple did go to court, and we thought that it was going to be televised. But it happened that it wasn't televised. We're not sure why, but there is a short 3-minute, 51-second video here that we're gonna play through and listen to about the arraignment of the mother and the father. All right, I do have it on there.
On to this now, developing news. The parents of baby Emmanuel Haro have just been arraigned on murder charges. And Gigi Gracia was in the courtroom joining us live with this very latest update. Gigi, what can you tell us?
That's right. This arraignment lasted all of 10 minutes, and both Jake Haro, through his public defenders, and Rebecca Haro, through her court-appointed private attorney, entered a plea of not guilty. Now, I believe we have some video. This was just recorded, has not been edited. We saw Jake Haro.
So now, one of the things that I did find out is that Rebecca, has been appointed an attorney. He has been appointed an attorney. The attorney that was speaking out for him previously must no longer be on that case, because he was appointed an attorney. And the two attorneys are the attorneys that represented the Turban parents when that case all went down. So, like she said, quick 10-minute hearing.
Haro come into the courtroom. He's wearing that red jumpsuit, which indicates he is not part of the general population in jail.
Did you guys see that? This bothered me. And I'm sorry. Missing kid. Who puts out a missing poster that says missing kid? It's always missing child, missing infant, but missing kid. This is what the parents put out for their child. It's just some of the things that have happened in this case. I am just like, what the hell?
Of the general population in jail, he is kept separate for his own protection because of the charges that he is facing.
Kept separate from the rest of the jail for his protection.
Rebecca Haro was wearing blue. We didn't see the color of her pants, which apparently determines, but we do not believe she is part of the general population either. Again, both of them entering pleas of not guilty through their attorneys. They really didn't speak. Jake said, "Good morning, Your Honor." Then he acknowledged, and you're looking live at that video right there. You see Jeff Moore. He is the court-appointed private attorney for Rebecca Haro. He stood right in front of her. She is sitting behind him. Jake and Rebecca were on opposite sides of the court.
They didn't even want the cameras to get any pictures of her. All you see is her hair.
Both of them brought in through separate doors. I did not see either of them look at each other at any time. I may have missed a glance, but Jake Haro kept his eyes on the judge, and Rebecca was covered by, again, her attorney that you see there, Jeff Moore. And he is from Blumenthal and Moore. That is a law firm that works with the county of Riverside, the Riverside County Public Defender's Office. They are appointed by the court. Next important dates. They have what's called a, let me get that right here, the Felony Settlement Conference. That is also referred to as a Trial Readiness Conference. That date has been set for September 16th. And basically, the lawyers come together with the judge, with the defendants in this case, and talk about the trial, their readiness for the trial, what they...
So it sounds like this trial is going to happen fairly quickly. What do you guys all think? Good God, I'm having to ban a bunch of people. Thank you for reporting them. So yeah, let's continue on here.
They expect, and if there's a plea deal that is reached, and I want to note here that the Riverside County District Attorney Mike Hestron said there were no plea deals in the works, but again, that was last week, so things...
So how many of you think that there's going to be a plea deal in this case? And if not, will they be tried together? Will they be tried separate? And whose trial is going to go first? It's going to be interesting to hear that trial, listen to that trial and the evidence. That is a trial that, if that's televised, I will be showing it on this channel.
Could have changed. That will be discussed on September 16th. On September 17th, the next day, that is the scheduled start date for the preliminary hearing, often referred to simply as the prelim. The prelim is where we will hear, most likely, not all of the evidence the prosecution has against the Haros, but just enough to convince the judge that there is cause that they be held over for trial on charges of murder in the death of their baby boy, Emmanuel Haro, only 7 months old when he was reported missing on the 14th. His parents telling police he had been kidnapped from a parking lot in Yucaipa. Investigators now saying that is not true. That never happened. And in court documents, they list the date of possible death between August the 5th and August the 14th. August 5th.
The 5th through the 14th, that's not a short time. That's a fairly long time. And that tells me that nobody saw that baby after the 5th, besides the parents. So during these hearings, we're going to hear some evidence. Not all of it, but some of it.
5th, most likely the last day that investigators can independently confirm that the baby was indeed alive. And I want to reiterate, his body remains have not been found yet.
And look at this father. I'm going to go back. People are praying with him because they believe that his child was kidnapped. And come to find out, that's not it at all.
Been found yet. Again, mark your calendar if you're following the case of baby Emmanuel, September 16th and September 17th for a prelim. Of course, those dates.
So, Andrea, can you please make sure that you write down September 16th and 17th so that we can make sure that we're showing those hearings if they're televised, and that I can put them on my calendar? I would appreciate it. Yeah, I agree. I'll be frank. They just want attention. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we will cover that hearing for those 2 days if it's televised. Yeah, pop it in my Discord. That would be great. That way I remember and I can put it on my calendar and make sure that we cover that hearing if it's going to be live. I'm hoping so. I don't know for sure. All right. Sad case. I mean, what is up with these parents? You know what I mean? So we go from one case of parents trying to lie, say their kidnapped was kidnapped, to and this is mother and father of this baby boy Emmanuel. Now we are going to go to a foster mother charged in the unaliving of a missing 9-year-old girl. Well, they found out that this missing 9-year-old girl, Renesmay, a lot of you that are Twilight fans are gonna recognize that name. It's not a common name. So we know that this mother followed the Twilight series, and I'm sure that's where she got this name from. But we're gonna listen to this from CBS Pittsburgh and learn about this case also. Yes, absolutely, Mustang. Justice for baby Emmanuel. And like I said, before we go on to Renesmay, sounds like this case is going to go quick. I don't think there's going to be a lot of, we may get it by the end of the year, but definitely in the beginning of 2026, unless it all falls apart and things really get delayed. Yes, and for promise, because that little girl never deserved that. Okay, let's learn about Renesmay. I think it's Eutsey, but we'll learn for sure.
This little girl was likely killed long before a report was made to the police.
The body of that little girl, Renesmay Eutsey, found overnight wrapped in a garbage bag, partially submerged in the Youghiogheny River. And the woman investigators say put her there is now also charged with her murder. Thanks.
So once again, we have a 9-year-old foster child in the care of the foster mother who was unalived and put in the water. How many cases have we heard of like this, where these children are unalived and put in water? Athena Strand. Oh my God, the case just went out of my mind. If you could name some in the chat, name them. Athena Strand. This one. Why can't I remember the other one? There's too many. But let's take a listen. And once again, the disappearance was not reported right away.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Erica Moquet. Police paperwork from Fayette County is now revealing more about how the 9-year-old lived and how she allegedly died at the hands of someone who acted as her mom. KDK's Chillicothe Adele has those details new at noon.
This was not the result the search crews, the first responders, had hoped for.
It's a painful thing for everybody involved.
State police say they found Renesmay Eutsey dead. Her body was partially submerged in the Yak near Smithton.
We had search and rescue teams out. We had Game Commission, a number of other volunteers looking.
She was just 9.
I can't wrap my head around how somebody would do something like this to a child.
Fayette County DA.
I want you to look at this picture very closely. That is a picture of a 9-year-old. What is supposed to be a 9-year-old. Does that look like 9 to you? She looks like she's more like 6 or 7 in this picture. So once again, the pictures are telling of the abuse that these kids are taking on from their parents. Good night, Gibbo. Yeah, I was saying 6 or 7 or 8, but definitely not 9. She's so tiny.
Just 9.
I can't wrap my head around how somebody would do something like this to a child.
Fayette County DA Mike Auble says Courtney Eutsey, Renesmay's caretaker, her foster mom, is facing numerous charges, including criminal homicide, concealing the death of a child, even abuse of corpse.
We started conducting interviews, and we were led to the body.
And the DA says inconsistencies in those interviews gave investigators some pause.
Okay, so once again, due to those interviews, it led to this child's body, and there were inconsistencies within the statements, which led police to find her.
The timeline was completely off. There were just statements that were conflicting with other information that we had.
According to the criminal complaint, Courtney Eutsey eventually told officers Renesmay vomited and began to choke. Eutsey claimed she tried to clear the girl's mouth, but the victim died. So she put Renesmay's body in a black.
So if your child accidentally choked and passed away, why did you put her in the river? Why didn't you just call 911? Instead, you put her body in a black bag and place her in the river? Why is it that these parents are doing these types of things? Just call 911. Doesn't make sense at all. I agree. But these are the stories that these parents are telling. My child was kidnapped. They choked. All of this stuff we hear over and over and over again.
Black bag.
It was intentional.
Renesmay was just 45 pounds.
Just personally
She's 9 years old and she only weighs 45 pounds.
viewing her body yesterday, she appears to be underweight. She showed signs of abuse, neglect.
Yeah,
what appeared to be cigarette burns.
It corresponds with some.
Burns again with the cigarette burns. We're going to go over another story this week about a 10-year-old and the amount of abuse that she went through, and cigarette burns come up in that one too.
Some of the other stories.
The information that we received from one of the other children in the home confirmed that there was abuse going on in the house.
Auble calls this whole ordeal.
And why is it in these situations? How many of these stories do we hear where it's multiple children in the home, but only one is taking the blunt of it? We hear this over and over and over again. Harmony Montgomery, big one that comes to mind. Her brothers didn't get the abuse, but she did. It's absolutely, it infuriates me is what it does. Truly infuriates me.
Ordeal emotional.
And just for her, sweet, beautiful little girl, just had to have lived in horror.
Between what he calls false hope and wasted resources trying to find Renesmay,
Robbed of her life. I don't know how else to put it.
this results. It's a pill that's really tough.
Robbed of her life.
The district attorney also says the other 3 children that were in that house were removed. He anticipates future charges
Well, I
will be
would hope
filed
so.
as well. From
I would hope so. because you're not going to leave them in there. But where's the programs in DCFS or DFS or whatever, CPS, whatever it is? Where are these people that are supposed to be taking care of this and helping these children? Where are they? Because she didn't accidentally choke. Exactly. It's absolutely heartbreaking. So I have one more video that we're going to kind of go through on this case. Some of it's going to be repeats, so I'm going to fast forward through it. But these cases are happening more and more, and something's got to stop. Someone has to start helping these children. I mean, this is ridiculous. All right, let's see what this one says.
After hours of searching, 9-year-old Renesmay Eutsey was found in the Youghiogheny River, roughly 30 minutes from her home in Dunbar. Now her adoptive parent is charged with criminal homicide.
A lengthy search for 9-year-old Renesmay Eutsey tragically ended this morning when she was found dead, partially submerged in the Youghiogheny River in Westmoreland County. 31-year-old Courtney Eutsey, her adoptive parent, is now facing numerous charges, including criminal homicide. Her bail was denied.
But we were given the location of the body, and we were out there just a few hours ago.
Investigators said the 9-year-old lived with Eutsey, another woman identified in court documents as Sarah Shipley, and 3 kids. Those other children are now in youth services. According to court documents, during an interview, one of the children told investigators they heard Shipley and Eutsey say they were going to take Renesmay far away to a river, and said they saw them kick her and had her in a bag. Originally, it was difficult for investigators.
They saw her kick her. How does that go along with she choked if you're seen kicking this child?
To lock down a timeline because Eutsey's story was inconsistent.
The information we were given is that this little girl had left the home on her own, and based on that, we had a specific grid, I guess, a location around the house and the community in Dunbar that we were looking.
Okay, so then the story moves on. She goes from choking to where this child left home on her own. So once again, red flags. The story's changing. The girl's choking. She choked. She panicked. She got rid of her. Then it was the girl left on her own. And how did she get 30 miles away if she got left on her own? Well, we know that's false, because now we've got reports of a witness seeing the mother kick her.
According to those court documents, Eutsey said on the night of September 2nd, Renesmay started to vomit and eventually died. Eutsey allegedly said she was scared, so she put Renesmay in a bag and placed it along the river.
It's very apparent that even from the time that this was initially reported, Courtney knew exactly where this child was.
District Attorney Abel says it's still...
And that is the biggest thing that we know in a lot of these cases that are not solved right away. If the parents are involved, they know where these children are. They just normally don't give it up willingly. And neither did this woman in the beginning.
Early in the investigation, but others may be charged. For now, covering Fayette County inside.
And I was going to ask, if there's another woman in the house, why isn't she being charged? Because it said another woman and children. So it says foster parent, but the last names match. So we're going to have to look into that and see if she was adopted by her or not. It is a horrible story. And thank you. Let's see if they say anything else here in the last closing seconds.
South Huntington Township, Ava Rash, Pittsburgh Action News 4.
Nope. Okay. So I will keep you updated on this case also. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more coming out. Like they said, there possibly could be more arrests. I'm thinking that means the other woman that was living in the house. It's just sickening. We continue to hear these stories of these children that are tortured, malnutritioned, weighing less than they should, smaller than they should be. You know, it's enough is enough. You know, when people have to see this. So many people have to see this, and they're not reporting it. Why aren't they reporting it? Why aren't they calling police? Why aren't they calling DCFS? You know, it's just outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Alrighty. Oh, so I did want to show this one. Hang on a minute. I'm just gonna. So the thing that happened with, as far as Renesmay, other than she was found and the foster adoptive mother was arrested, is that hundreds gathered to remember Renesmay Eutsey. And we've seen this in so many stories. The community is the one that reacts.
In the community of Dunbar following the death of 9-year-old Renesmay Eutsey. She is the girl police say was killed by her foster mothers. And last night, the community gathered at a park for a second vigil. KDK's Ricky Sayer reports everyone there hopes something like this never happens again.
And we keep
for a second time in 2 days, the Dunbar community came together to share the grief and anger they feel following the death of Renesmay Eutsey. It is a community that is struggling to come to terms with this loss. Bubbles are usually a plaything, but Saturday night, they took on a different meaning.
A little girl who loved the colors pink and purple, but also loved unicorns, mermaids, and baby dolls.
Renesmay Eutsey loved it all.
I first met Renesmay at my store over here. I can tell you that she absolutely loves strawberry ice cream and an ice cream cone.
Oh.
The Bubbles organizers say show the presence of that little girl who could no longer blow her own on this earth.
Renesmay mattered.
You're right.
Her life mattered.
Her life
Every
mattered.
one of her
Her life
9 years mattered.
Hundreds came to the park,
Look at
lighting
that.
candles, joined in prayer.
Let's all bow our heads.
This candle symbolizes more than a flame.
The organizers say it symbolizes her spirit, their love, and shared resolve to push back against the darkness.
Once again, we have seen this over and over and over again. These kids are harmed, injured, tortured, unalived, and these communities come out afterwards to support these children. But you know, at the same time, deep down, that others saw this while it was going on. Why didn't they say something? Stop hurting these kids. Exactly. We have to be the eyes and ears for these kids. The world today, they don't want to get involved. These people don't want to get involved. But the only way that we're going to start saving these kids is by having people speak out. If you see something, say something. Call the police. Call DCSF, CPS, whatever it's called in your area, and keep calling. But stop hurting these kids. Because it's happening way too much. Way too much. All right. So as we all know, it's been almost a year since Richard Allen's trial. And we are still waiting for their defense team to officially file his appeal. This week, it was brought up again, and they are filing for an extension. So we're just going to look at one quick video here about this, and then we're going to move on to the next subject. All right. So once again, his attorneys for his appeal are asking for another extension. Now, this is just to make the appeal, you guys. They haven't sent in anything for the appeal yet. They keep asking for extensions. Eventually, they're going to run out of time.
The attorneys for the man convicted of killing 2 teens in Delphi are asking for an extension on the next step in his appeal. Richard Allen is serving a 130-year sentence for the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. The teens were found dead in Delphi in 2017. He filed a notice of appeal in March, and now his attorneys are requesting an extension on the deadline to file an appellant's brief. They say they're
okay, so they're going to be putting in their brief stating why they want an appeal. And in that brief, they have to put specific things that were wrong in his trial and try to convince the Supreme Court to give him a new trial or get rid of the sentence. Okay? I don't believe it's going to happen. Don't believe it's going to happen at all.
They're still going through all of the evidence in the trial transcripts.
They're still going through all the evidence in the trial transcripts, which tells me, in addition to going through all the evidence in the trial transcripts, they have also been talking, his lawyers from the trial have been on numerous podcasts talking about evidence that they didn't even know about because they never got through all the discovery before the trial ended.
In the case and still need more time. They also say Allen being transferred to an Oklahoma prison has made it more difficult to speak with their client.
Well, of course it's made it more difficult. They're in Indiana. He's in Oklahoma. Set up meetings and go meet with him. That's all you got to do. Take the time out of your day, set up the meeting, go and meet with him, do whatever you got to do, and get this appeal going. He's 100% guilty and right where he belongs. I agree. I absolutely agree. But stop screwing around. How many years have these 2 attorneys had this case, and they didn't even know all of the evidence that was in the files? Oh, I'm sure that they are asking the state to pay for that travel. Absolutely, they're going to. They don't want to use their own money for it. So once again, I guess in about 3 months, we'll hear again whether they're going to file another extension or not. But my thing is they've had all of this information for how long? They had the terabytes. It's not our fault that they didn't look through it. All of it. They picked and choose. They saw things that they were like, aha, we can go on that, but didn't look at other things. Get through it. You have teams of people that can help you get through all this information. Get it done, get the brief written, and file it. That's all I'm going to say on that one. All right. Next is the update on Travis Decker. We have gone over this case on this channel a little bit. This is the man who unalived his 3 daughters at a campsite and now has been missing. I'm just going to close down a couple other screens here so that I don't get things mixed up. Okay, so this is a press conference that happened.
One, two.
Yeah, that's just a test.
They are Peter Orth, and he's the senior supervisory specialist.
Areas that they're describing like this, it is very, very hard to search those areas. Very hard. You know, and as we go here, and I'm going to fast forward a little bit, there were bones. They finally went back to the original area where the campsite was and started searching that area again and have found bones that they have sent in for testing. That's difficult when you have to close down areas that are meant for the public to use. So I can completely understand why he is thanking these people. It does take time, especially if
any
they
kind of resources that are available.
think he
I
was in
appreciate the
Canada.
funding that's again. I appreciate.
So this Travis, the father, we all know that he has experience in the woods. He can live in the woods, off the grid, all those types of things. We don't know if that's true, if he's alive, or if he's deceased. That's what they're trying to find.
If we haven't settled this, follow up further, as they're the ones leading this investigation and the follow-up operation.
All right, let's see what else. I think he's just answering questions here.
But it's daylight hour searching. That gives us the highest probability of spotting something visually because
Of course it's done in the daylight. Okay.
connected with our
But as I said, they did find bones. They are you go, Andrea. You know, they did find bones. We'll wait as soon as we get more word on that. If they made identifications or anything like that, I will let you know. Now we are going to talk about our last story. It's a story that hit close to home for me. And that is the Annunciation school shooting out of Minneapolis. This hit home to me because this was very, very close to my daughter and where she is going to school. So what we know is that, let me just get my details here, 1 second. Now, I'm not going to say the person's name on this channel. Not going to do it. I'm not going to give them any recognition. But on August 27th, 2025, violence against children took place at the Annunciation Catholic church and school. We know that the church was on the left-hand side with a little bit of a barrier, and then the school. These children were in Mass at the Catholic Church, which is done every year at the beginning of school. And once everybody was in the church, meaning the students, the parishioners, everybody else, the doors were locked. And thank goodness they were locked. Because if this person had been allowed to get inside, it would have been a lot worse. We've heard stories of the children and how they were sitting. Okay. This school is very big on the buddy system. So you have older children sitting with smaller children. And these older children were trying to protect these little children. So the weapons were a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. They were all legally purchased. They were fired through the stained glass windows into the sanctuary from outside. And 3 parishioners had been injured. They were in their 80s. 2 children were unalived. And 21 were injured. Total of 21. So 18 children and 3 elderly parishioners. The individual that did the shooting also barricaded the doors from the outside. Meaning, even if they had unlocked the doors themselves to try to get out, they wouldn't have been able to. There was a total, I believe, of 5 or 6 stained glass windows, and this individual shot through each one of the stained glass windows before being a coward and taking their own life. So that day was very rough. I woke up to a message from Andrea stating, "Have you heard about the shooting in Minneapolis?" I hadn't because I was sleeping. And good God, they just won't stop. Crazy. And started watching the coverage. Okay. I watched a little boy who was talking about how his buddy covered him and how he got shrapnel or something in his neck. And it turns out that it wasn't shrapnel, it was an actual bullet. The next day they found out he had a bullet in his neck and ended up in the hospital also, and had to have that worked on. The medical staff at Hennepin County Medical Center shut down all operating rooms to treat the victims, some as young as age 6. The Children's Hospital also took on patients from this location. Vigils, walkouts, and protests have erupted across Minnesota and nationwide, demanding bans on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. And the first thing we heard after this happened is, "We do not want your thoughts and prayers." That came from a lot of people. However, this congregation is thankful for the thoughts and prayers. What do we know about the coward and the monster that did this? Had a history of mental health crisis, chaotic home life, posted disturbing YouTube videos before the attack expressing taking one's life's ideations and referencing other mass pew-pews throughout the country. This individual idolized these people and was full of hate. And you got to realize it was difficult to read these manifestos because some of it was in another language. So they had to go and decipher all this information. The FBI is investigating it as a domestic terrorism and a hate crime against the Catholic faith, though there's been no clear motive confirmed. So let's take a look. We're just going to take a quick, brief look at this 35-minute video. Now, with all these stories, I forgot to tell you, with all these stories, all the links to the videos are down in the description. So if you want to go back and take a look at the videos in their entirety, the short ones I played the full video, but the longer ones I have not. So I'm just going to bring up this one here. This is one of the longer ones. And it just tells us a lot of what happened that day.
Here with an update from Minnesota right now, where Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis officials are about to hold a news conference on this morning's mass shooting at a Catholic school during a church mass. He has started. Let's listen in.
Several news conferences have happened since then.
A community behind us, Annunciation Church and School, committed to academics, service, and Catholic values, filled with the first days of school.
This is the Minnesota
beautiful children
governor that
going
is
to learn
speaking.
those values, share with their teachers and their classmates. And instead of that joy and that curiosity and that learning, they were met with evil and horror and death. And we often come to these and say, these unspeakable tragedies, or there's no words for this. There shouldn't be words for these types of incidents because they should not happen.
Exactly.
And there's no words that are going to ease the pain of the families today. On behalf of all the people of Minnesota, our deepest sympathies. A wish that any of these words would make what you're feeling now better, but it won't. A place that's founded on community, founded on service, founded on family. I'd like to give special thank you to the...
Okay, so once again, we're hearing about a school pew-pewing. And as I said, 2 students did lose their lives. The first one is Fletcher Merkel. He was age 8. Fletcher was described by his family as a joyful boy who loved fishing, cooking, and playing sports. His father, Jesse, shared a heartfelt message urging people to remember Fletcher for the vibrant child he was, not the violence that ended his life. Goodness gracious. They just keep coming. Harper Moisky, age 10. Harper's parents, Michael and Jackie, said she was a bright, kind, and deeply loved child whose laughter and spirit touched everyone around her. They hope her memory inspires action to address gun violence and mental health crisis. Both children were attending mass and their classmates when the shooter fired through the stained glass windows. And these two children were hit in the head and died instantly. Now, from the reports that we've gotten, all but one of the injured children are out of the hospital. And I am going to show you the interview that the doctor did just the other day, because this little girl is fighting for her life still, and it's been almost 2 weeks. And this is the story on Sophia. She's a 12-year-old who was hit in the head. Her mother is a nurse at the hospital. And when all this happened, her mother ran in to help and found out that her daughter was one of the victims. Now, this video is 19 minutes and 28 seconds. We're actually going to listen to most of this because I want everybody to know the severity of what happens when these kids go through this situation.
Good afternoon. I'm Walt Golisich. I'm a neurosurgeon here at Hennepin County Medical Center. I'm going to be blunt. Sophia is still in critical condition in the intensive care unit. There's a chance that she's maybe the third fatality of this event.
Now, did you all hear that? He was very blunt, and he said she very well may be the third fatality of this event, even 10 days later. She is still that critical. Yes, subscriber mode, definitely.
Door's been opened a little bit, and there's some rays of hope shining through. I first met Sophia on that fateful Wednesday morning when she was wheeled to the receiving area of the operating room. And I was told it's a 16-year-old.
Now keep that in mind, 16-year-olds that's going to come in later.
She was in critical condition. Our excellent EMS team and the people at the church obviously did a wonderful job of getting her to our ER very quickly, and our trauma surgeons and ER staff did a fantastic job of triaging her.
Now that's very, very important with an injury like this. When you have a bullet that has entered your brain, every second counts. Every second.
She made it up to the receiving area of the operating room in record time. I noticed her blue nail polish and her curly hair, and I opened her eyes, and she was bilaterally fixed and dilated, which means that her pressure in her brain was very high. And if you had told me at this juncture 10 days later that we'd be standing here with any ray of hope, I would have said it would take a miracle.
That is huge for a doctor to say. They did not expect this little girl to make it this long. Now, I've had a child who has had encephalitis, swelling of the brain, and it's not easy. There were multiple spinal taps to reduce that fluid. But with Sophia's situation, it wasn't spinal tap fluid that they had to remove. So let's listen.
She was shot in the left temporal lobe, and the bullet remains lodged in her right occipital lobe. We brought her into the operating room and performed what's called a decompressive craniectomy, which is basically removing the left half of her skull.
They removed
her brain room to
of her
swell.
skull.
Unfortunately, the bullet path injured some critical vessels, what's called the Sylvian fissure, which carries branches of what's called the middle cerebral artery, which is a very important blood vessel. We did our best to spare as much of that blood vessel as possible and then stop the bleeding. And then we inserted a pressure monitor and got her off to our wonderful pediatric intensive care unit. She's been there now for 10 days. We've had some issues with swelling and increased pressure in her head, which fortunately have been managed fairly well. And we've done some other studies, including an angiogram that looks at the blood vessels of the brain. And overall, things look as good as can be expected.
So they have been doing a lot of care with her. They have taken out the skull portion on the left side to allow her brain to swell. And they're doing all this testing to see what brain function she has, what exactly is the seriousness of each minute of each day.
We've kept her very heavily sedated in a medical induced coma to some degree to help keep the pressures in her brain down. Those pressures have remained in a relatively good range that we've now started to allow her to wake up a little bit more.
That is huge, you guys. Getting those pressures to stabilize and stay stabilized is big. And the only way that they're going to know how all of this has affected her brain is to let her wake up. But they can't just bring her fully out of it. They have to be so careful while doing it.
And as I mentioned, there are a few rays of hope. She's very purposeful on her left side of her body. She's got some slight movement in her right leg, and she's opening her eyes. She's no longer fixed and dilated. The pressures in her brain are okay.
She has not spoken or anything like that. They have not letting her haven't gotten her to that point, but they are slowly bringing her out of the coma and putting her back in little by little.
And hopefully they'll remain that way. We've seen plenty of cases, especially in young brains, where the swelling is quite delayed and can get worse over time. But we're starting to get out of that worrisome window, but we're not out of it yet.
Right. And so what he's saying is that it's common for the swelling and the pressures to stabilize and then go berserk again and get too high. They're hopeful that that won't happen.
It's day by day, and I can't tell you how this is going to end. I know she's had a stroke from that injury to that blood vessel. I don't know what her permanent deficits are going to be, but we're a little bit more optimistic that she's going to survive. I'm going to hand it over to.
So I can't imagine a doctor coming on here and having to tell the audience this, much less the parents. Okay? It's crazy. Going from no hope now to some hope, but also having to prepare people that even though it looks like she's going the right way, that could change at any time, has got to be hell on them. Not only the parents, the family, but the physician, the nurses, the whole staff at the hospital. It's got to be really, really hard on them.
Sophia's dad, Tom Forches, would like to make a statement.
Absolutely touching moment here.
Just over 1 week ago, the world witnessed an act committed by a coward to carry out such an atrocity against innocent children. Children who were praying during Mass is unfathomable. In this horrific act of violence, my daughter, my precious angel, my kuklamu Sophia, suffered a gunshot wound to the head. Sophia is kind. She is brilliant. She is full of life. She is an innocent child who was attacked while in prayer. Words cannot begin to describe the terror and heartbreak that come with learning such devastating details. These past 10 days have been the longest and hardest of our lives.
Can you imagine what they're going through sometimes on an hourly basis in the past 10 days of it being so touch and go? And when I'm playing these videos, I do have to stop and I have to put in my points in order to use the videos. So my heart just bleeds for this family, for this father, for this mother, for the siblings.
I stand before you today on behalf of my family to thank every person who helped get Sophia from the pew where she lay wounded into all the way to Dr. Galisich's operating room. The speed and coordination it took to make that happen is nothing short of extraordinary. Thank you to Julie. Thank you to Sean. Thank you to Principal DeBoer. Thank you to Matt and Molly. Thank you to Jason and Ryan. And thank you to the countless officers and first responders who arrived on the scene.
So not only did the staff at the hospital have to go through this, but everybody in that church, okay, saw what happened to these children and saw that the two that didn't make it, they knew it. But they knew that these children that had been hurt needed care immediately. And he's thanking those individuals for stepping up and providing that care.
Your courage, your compassion, and your quick action gave Sophia a fighting chance.
It absolutely did give her a fighting chance.
To Dr. Galisich, thank you. Thank you for using the talents God gave you to save our daughter. Without your skill, your precision, and your attentiveness, Sophia would not be here today. On behalf of our entire family, Dr. Glishitz, thank you. To the entire neurosurgery team under Dr. Glisich's leadership, thank you. Anyone fortunate enough to learn from him is truly blessed to have such a gifted mentor and healer. To the pediatric critical care team and all the staff in the pediatric ICU, thank you. Your dedication and attention to detail are why HCMC stands as a premier level 1 trauma center.
I can tell you from personal hand experience, it is so important what these individuals in these ICUs do. These doctors, these nurses, like he said, if it wasn't for them, his child wouldn't have a fighting chance. The only thing that I'm seeing here when he's talking, and I'm just keeping in the back of my mind, is that he's seeing this as his child is going to make it. Every parent is going to think that way. But after what the doctor just said, you also have to keep in mind that she's not out of the woods yet.
Your care has been a lifeline for our family. The final individual I want to thank is my wife. She is the most kind-hearted, selfless, and caring human being I have ever known. Her strength is unmatched. She is my superhero. She has not left Sophia's side. She's monitoring every medication, every drip, every vital sign, and every detail involved in caring for the most critical patients, our daughter. She's truly the best mother I know. It is an honor to be her husband, and I am blessed to call her my wife.
I thought that statement about his wife and what he said about her was warranted. Because we talked about this in the first couple stories. What wouldn't you do for your child? This mother is showing that she's there. She's not leaving. She's staying there for the past 10 days, now 12 or 13. She's staying with her daughter. She's monitoring everything. She's got to be exhausted. She's got to be. But as a mother, you do everything you can for your child. And if that means not sleeping a whole lot, you're not sleeping a whole lot. But I give him credit for talking about his wife and her strength.
Sophia has received prayers from across the globe. It is nothing short of miraculous to know that millions of people have lifted her name in hundreds of millions of prayers. We've heard of prayers from Oslo to Johannesburg, from Sydney to Santiago, from Vietnam to Canada, from Mount Athos, Greece to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thank you, thank you, thank you for each and every one of those prayers. Thank you to the clergy from the Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church who have led prayers around the world. Your spiritual support has carried us through the darkest days.
This is where I was saying earlier that a lot of people are saying thoughts and prayers aren't needed. This family is stating they are needed, they are appreciated, and they are welcomed.
The Fortress family extends its deepest sympathies and condolences to the Merkel and Moisky families. When I spoke to my 9-year-old son about his schoolmates who were murdered, he had these kind words to say about Harper and Fletcher. Harper is the most kind And she's just a really nice girl. She had so many friends and is never mean to anyone. And when I told him about Fletcher, he said, Fletcher, oh no. He is so good at everything he does. He's friends with everyone, and he is such a good friend to all of us. May the memories of Harper Moisky and Fletcher Merkel be eternal.
Yes. And with that, I am going to just show you let me get it here. Because he's right. These children have to be remembered eternally. All right. So this is Harper. She was the 10-year-old girl. And Fletcher, the 8-year-old boy that were lost in this shooting. I got to bring up the video again. Unfortunately, when I show pictures, I got to stop the video.
I want to end by imploring the world, continue to pray. Continue to pray for Sophia. Pray for peace. Pray with vigor. We need you to keep the fervor with which you are praying. And when you pray, move your feet.
Move your feet.
Moving your feet means one step at a time. It means volunteering your time. It means donating blood. It means listening to someone who's hurting. It means asking yourself, what would Jesus want me to do? And if you don't know Jesus, learn to follow him. His path will lead you back to prayer.
And it's all right if Jesus and God are not part of your lives. It means being a human being. Moving your feet means be a human being who's got empathy and compassion for others. Okay? So you can take that any way you want it. But just be active.
Thank you to everyone who has helped us through this nightmare. Your courage, your compassion, and your love have carried us. Sophia is strong. Sophia is fighting. And Sophia is going to win this fight for all of humanity.
Very powerful statement. Now there was some questions to the doctor, and I want you all to.
She's purposeful, so there's some level of awareness, but no, not following commands yet. But she appears to be aware of some of her surroundings.
So he's saying she's purposeful. She's aware of her surroundings, but she's not following commands yet.
At what point will you be able to tell
What kind of damage did she suffer? When are you going to be able to tell that? Is the question asked.
It's really difficult to say. As I mentioned before, when I first saw her, I was told she was 16, and that she's 12 is even better in terms of the potential for neurologic recovery. The younger patients tend to have a better chance of recovery. Their brain has a little bit more what we call plasticity, where other areas could potentially make up for things. I'm optimistic about the leg function returning. She'll probably get some improvement in her right arm. but there are a lot of other things that could still be wrong. This bullet could affect the language centers, her ability to speak and understand speech. But we're banking on that plasticity of the brain in a 12-year-old that it's going to improve. I just don't know where this is going to end, though. And every case is different. But we're trending in the right direction at this point.
So that was important because he's talking about the age of the children and the way that the brain works in the age of the children. Okay. So this young lady, he thought she was 16 when she was first brought in. That's what he was told. 16-year-old brains don't heal like 12-year-old brains do. So when he found out she was 12, that made a big difference in his mind. And he's talking about how the brain, functions and repairs itself, or other parts of it take over to enhance the parts that are damaged in younger children versus older children. Now, until she wakes up and fully wakes up and starts responding to commands and talking to them, if she can talk, they're not going to know the full extent of her injuries. But like I said earlier, they're going to bring her out slowly.
You're right, it is. But this is about Sophia today.
So the question was, how does this affect you and everybody else at the hospital? He wanted to keep it on Sophia.
And we want to keep the focus on her. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's very difficult for everybody involved.
You had mentioned a bullet. Is this something that stayed there? Can you remove that at some point?
Okay, so the question is, the bullet is still in her brain. Does it stay there, or do you remove it at some point?
It's lodged in the right occipital lobe, which means it crossed from one hemisphere into the other. There is no benefit to taking it out at this juncture. It would not improve her recovery, and actually could be harmful to try to remove it because you'd have to go through normal brain to get there. But it's not only the bullet itself, it's the blast wave that the bullet creates that leaves some doubt as to the extent of the neurologic issues that she's going to have. Because it's not just the direct trajectory where the bullet passed, but the shock wave it sent through the brain, kind of in a cylindrical fashion outward from the path of the bullet.
So you got to remember, our brains are full of electrons, neutrons, pathways for information, blood flow, all of that. And when a bullet goes through your brain, it's not just the direct path of the bullet, it's the shock wave that happens throughout the rest of the brain. And what injury does that shock wave cause? And that's what he's talking about here.
Can you explain how Sophia made it? Why you said you were more optimistic now than you were before?
Why are you more optimistic now versus when she first came in?
The trajectory that she went on, coming here to New York to how she is right now. Why do you feel that way?
Why do you feel that way?
Time, for one thing. That we haven't, and we've been able to control the pressures within her brain. That her exam has improved somewhat. That the swelling has hasn't subsided, but it hasn't gotten any significantly worse. But we're banking, it's basically that exam that we're encouraged by, and the ability to control the pressures in the brain. And in large part that had to do with removing that half of the skull to give her brain ample room to swell in the future as well. So again, time will tell, and hopefully we'll continue to see some gradual improvement, but it's just very difficult to say, you know, when she's going to be out of the woods. I don't know.
You mentioned she was in an induced coma. Is that still the case now? Or is she
We're giving her a hiatus every once in a while and allowing her to wake up a little bit. And as we are sure that her pressures will stay down, that those periods of time will extend longer and longer. But we take it slow. There's nothing to be gained by rushing it at this point, and although it's painful and quite difficult for everybody involved, because we all want to know, the best thing for Sophia at this point is to keep her heavily sedated as needed.
For her right side to start responding to that at time.
That's going to be time and a lot of rehab.
They were asking about the right side responding. Okay. We're going to end it there. I just wanted you guys to be aware that with any crime, whether it's a school pew-pewing or just an individual getting pew-pewed, you know, any attack of any kind with a pew-pew affects your body in so many ways. And you're hearing firsthand from this doctor how that is and why they have to take it slow with this young girl. My prayer is that he's right, that as they bring her out, more and more and longer, that her pressures stay consistent, and that she has a full recovery, which it doesn't sound good, you guys. It does not. So if you pray. I believe that they have a GoFundMe for Sophia. I will find that GoFundMe and put it in the description. If you want to donate, please do so. Her family's going to need a lot of financial help, no matter whether she makes it or not. You know, each case is a new set of financial risks. So I pray that she makes it, that all of these kids receive the mental health and the physical, and the medical help that they need to get past this. So, caring for one another, no matter who they are. Exactly, Ronald. You know, and that's been a big, if you listen to any of the principals speak, you know, anybody from the church, move your feet is a common thing that you're going to hear from this. And they just want you to do the right thing, be a decent human being, no matter who the other person is. Care for one another. Stop the hate, stop the violence. You know, and that's what we've been saying all night with all of these stories. Stop hurting the children, you know, stop the hate, stop the violence. we're promoting love and peace. So with that being said, I will keep you updated on Sophia. Like I said, all of the other individuals that were injured have been released. So she is the only one that is in the hospital. And I'm sharing her story with you so that you know what these children are going through in these situations and the fight that they have ahead of them. So originally I was going to do all of my lives at 6 p.m. Central Time. Tonight taught me a lesson that's not going to work. So all the lives, my nightly lives for my schedule will be at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then throughout the week, either in late morning or early afternoons, I'm going to do some other lives. There's other stories that I want to share with you. And so you're going to get 1 to 2 lives a day for me. Saturdays will be my day off. I do have some activities coming up on Friday. On a Friday, I think I have to do concession stands for my son. So I will let you know what the alternative is going to be. Tomorrow is missing persons cases. I'm going to go through 3 or 4 missing person cases with you tomorrow night. Tuesday night is we're going to continue on with our Howard County cases, and Destiny Pittman's case. I'm going to tell you all about that. Wednesday is going to be Delphi night. And I'm going to go through some videos and Google Earth with you to show you some of the specific areas. Yes, and if big stories come up, I will go live as it happens. So just be prepared to keep an eye on the Facebook group, Discord, and my Marvelous Marvin page, because that's where you're going to see when the lives are going to be. Thank you everyone for joining me tonight. I'm excited about this and doing this every Sunday. Next Sunday we'll do 5 more true crime stories from the week. And remember, we're doing this because justice matters for each and every single individual that is a victim and for their families. Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.